All right. We are going live now on YouTube. So I would request Jyoti Prakash to continue with the initial formalities of the session.
Sure.
Thank you, Devasis. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jyoti Prakash Datta, co-founder team Lex Cognoscenti. I welcome you all to the 26th episode of Lex Cognoscenti's Rendezvous series. This series is an initiative to explore the lives, struggles, quantum leaps, legacies, and anecdotes of connoisseurs of legal fraternity. We try to invite persons of stature, character, and integrity and make an endeavor to create optimism and motivation in the field of law and litigation. So, carrying on with the streak, today we have invited and are fortunately joined by a legendary figure from our very own northeastern state, Sikkim. She is a woman who has donned multiple hats. She is the first female additional advocate general for the state of Sikkim and also the first female president of Sikkim High Court Bar Association. She is currently holding both these positions. She enrolled herself in the bar in the year 1998 and has never looked back since then. She makes regular appearances before Supreme Court of India and the High Courts of Sikkim, Bombay, Delhi, and Madhya Pradesh. Apart from that, she has also left her scholarly imprint by participating in multiple seminars and legal discourses. She has published several articles in reputed journals, newspapers, and magazines. She has also been a member of Bejbarua Committee constituted by Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India on racial discrimination of Northeast people of India, and also a member of Sexual Harassment Inquiry Committee constituted by Ministry of Defence, Government of India. For some time, she has imparted guest lecture in Sikkim Central University along with Justice A.P. Subba and has also acted as a guest faculty of Sikkim Government Law College, Gangtok. She is no other than Dr. Doma Bhutia. So, ma'am, we are fortunate to be joined by you. Thank you for joining us this evening.
It's my pleasure
So,
as well.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. We are very much fortunate and we are very much excited to learn from you. So, without losing
It's
any
a
more
pleasure.
time, indeed, ma'am. Indeed, ma'am. So, without losing any more time, I would request Devasis to take forward this session. And the session will be divided into two phases. The first phase will be taken by Devasis, and I will come in the second phase to ask some other questions to our honorable guest. So, Devasis, you can continue with the first phase. Please, Devasis.
Thank you, Jyoti Prakash. So beginning with the interview session with the due permission of our honorable guest, Dr. Doma Bhutia ma'am, I would like to put forth the questions that I have for the initial phase.
Please do so.
Thank you, ma'am. So beginning with the first question, I would like to
Yes.
know about your childhood, family background, and schooling. If you can
Right.
tell our viewers on that one.
Yes. Yeah, very briefly, I would like to say I'm born and brought up in Sikkim. In my school, I have gone to the government school. My mother was, during our time, the ladies in the northeast, in the state of Sikkim, also I belong to a remote North Sikkim place called Lachung. So normally women are not been encouraged to go to school and all. But my mother was very enterprising woman, though she herself did not get an opportunity to go to school. I think because of that, she felt that her daughter has to go to school. As such, with her endeavor, I was put into the boarding school so that I can spend my day in and day out in the school, in a school environment, so I can pursue in a higher studies and so. So yes, I was in a school. I was very studious student in my school days. Yeah, my teachers, most of the teacher used to like me a lot because I used to get a first class in my class, whatever standard it used to be. And then you know that teachers are always likes a student who are very sincere, studious, and comes first in the class. So at that point, I remember it's like a midday meal. In our time, there was no midday meal as such. There was a biscuits, dry biscuits were distributed among the students. So my teachers used to give a like a 5 or 6 biscuits used to give it to the student. I used to get always a 8 or a 9 because I used to stand first in the class and I was very sincere. So that is how I was pampered in this school. So that is how it is my school days. And I was in a hostel. So I really had a good time in my school days. And I still cherish my those boarding schools and my friends. Yeah, which gives me and sending a boarding schools, I could also share that. It made me very independent because in boarding schools, what happened, it's like a survival. So you have to learn to make your own bed. Makes you very independent at home. Most of the my friends who were a desk scholar, so were not in the boarding in the hostel, I could see they are dependent in the family. Their tiffins are prepared. We are all very disciplined. We are supposed to get up in the morning by 5, do our cleaning of the dormitory, and then if we miss the tiffin, the morning breakfast time, so that a whole then the next day only. So that is how we are. I think being in a boarding school, I have been made very independent. I think that has really been helped me a lot. That what I can share. So that made me travel all across the country independently as a person from a northeast. That we, as a looks, we look slightly different. Even then, that has not been any barrier to me even to travel a place like Madhya Pradesh, where hardly any northeast people will travel to that central part of India. So I think that's what I can relate my putting by to the boarding school by my mother has really helped me a lot. So school days was pleasant with the friends. Yeah, went on studies, and then yeah, I was good in studies and all that I can share.
All right, ma'am. After that, we would like to know that how you joined law and what inspired you to take up law, and with that, at what age you decided to law.
Okay. Yeah, I did my graduation BA. At that point of time, we didn't have a 5 years course like that. You all have a now semester system. In our time, there was no semester system. BA plus then 3 years. So yes, somehow I don't know, the word called justice has always been, it has always been in my heart to heart, despite not knowing much nuances about what is real meant by justice and all that. But I was very passionate about people should get a justice, people should be treated with the empathy. So that kind of feeling was very, very ingrained in me. And then I don't somehow, then some of my senior friend used to share the law is the one professions where you can really do a lot for the society. That has really been encouraged me to take up this law. But still, not knowing much about this profession, it was, I what I would say is, I was fascinated by the profession. So that is how I decided to take it up the law, to explore it. And then yeah, BA I did it from West Bengal. It's a Bengal university. Thereafter, then people said that if you're really serious about the law, then you must travel down to the Bombay. Bombay has a lot of litigations, the varieties of litigations. So that made me travel all the way to Bombay. Then did my master's LLB. I did it from North Bengal itself. But then I thought that let me go for a practice and for master and my PhD. So I'll do it from Bombay University. That made me travel down to Bombay. So from Bombay, then I was fortunate enough to get a good exposure. So then that has really that is how my journey towards the legal it went on. Then I started practicing before joining Lalit Chari. I'm told that civil litigation, because our time, because you are too young, so our time there was an internship compulsory, because immediately we could not get enrollment. We were supposed to join some senior and maintain our diary. Only after the completion of a internship of 1 year with certain chambers, only we would get a, a sanat, then we can register ourselves. So there was a one civil litigation, Mr. 𝐃𝐨𝐚 𝐓. So who used to do only civil, basically the civil suit and in the district court level. So I joined him in his chamber. So started going to City Civil Court, Bombay, back and forth, people coming from Northeast. The weather was very scorching for me. It was really difficult, but my determination was so strong that nothing could stop me. Even my friends from Pune, Maharashtra, was not able to tolerate the heat of Bombay. But for me, a person coming from a mountain area, from a very cold, but that did not deter me. So then I went to that chamber. Everything was new for me. The whole milieu, the environment was completely, but still I did not give up. I joined that chamber. Then we maintained the diary. Fortunately, then what happened in between? Um, this Some people have filed a litigation in Supreme Court at that point of time. So this kind of a putting up a compulsory chamber, in a chamber, maintaining diary, thereafter only we can get a registration of our sanat. It was arbitrary, therefore the Supreme Court quashed. Then within my 2 years of intern, within a year, then I think that is done with it. So in the meantime, I got to learn about the civil drafting by maintaining diary and all that, so on and so forth. That has really helped me. But then I thought that as a legal fraternity, we need to learn in all the areas. So that is how I joined Mr. Lalit Chari also for the criminal side, because he was not doing the civil, he was only doing civils, and I was more again very thrilled by the criminal side as well. You know, that's criminal side is more dramatic. So as a young person, so you had a lot of a it's an exciting kind of thing. I said I must get into the league criminal side, and I must go to trial court, and I must do a cross examination. So all that enthusiasm took me to the chamber of Mr. Lalit Chari. Yes, yes. That is how I started the journey. Then I started. He was a very good, renowned Mr. Lalit Chari. He was a very renowned criminal lawyer in Bombay High Court. His father, A.S.R. Chari, who is also renowned criminal law in the country, I suppose. He's a lot of a criminal precedent has been set up by his father. So from him, got to learn a lot. He was though very strict. This Sunday no holidays. So none of he's very professional, very professional. And if he go do a cases for dying declaration and all that, so he will make ensure that we studies the kind of the physics. Supposing if then we are supposed to read the, if it is a dying declaration or it is in case of a suicide, you will ensure that we'll study biology, we study chemistry, the composition of alkaline and all that kind of exposure. And yeah, that has really helped me a lot, being in that chamber. And then being, I was hardly been with any other Northeast in Bombay also. Taking up a law was very few Northeast. In my time, there was a none from the Northeast. So in a way, that also helped me a lot, because I felt for my Northeast fellow being also, I would always say that it is not good to be with your own groups all the time. So you don't get to learn the culture, beautiful culture of the diversity of India. So I was fortunate being people coming from across the country to the university in Bombay University, being again in a boarding. So we had a lot of people from South India, people from North India, people from Central India, from Maharashtra. I get to learn a Marathi language. I get to learn a Gujarati language. There's a lot of similarity with the Nepalese language. So it really studies for me, in a sense, it's not only bookish language. I think going meeting people across the country, the beautiful in India, we have a diverse people with a rich culture. So that has really enhanced also the knowledge as well, and which really helps in the litigations per se, I would say that. So that was really enriching, and being only with the Northeast group, friends, with your own community, what happens? Then your view, your vision towards the other people's with the subject becomes a limited. But for me, not being only with the Northeast, but with the local people, and try to struggle with the local people had give me a tremendous confidence and lot of knowledge about their cultures. And then I was loved by these people in the trial court, and even in the high court, all the solicitor, all the people. I used to speak a Marathi, and my people looking, they call us, sometimes they call a Chinki, or sometimes they call a Nepali, or sometimes whatever they will call. But I don't look like them. But speaking the Marathi by me, they were so happy. So I used to always speak to them with the Marathi language, and now even I get to hear somebody speaking a Marathi, I get a little goosebump. I feel these are my own people. So that is how it is a wonderful journey through the law. I think it's a law profession which is so exciting, doing a justice to people or whatever we read in the book. It is, I think for me, it is not only that has been, but it is much beyond that. Knowing a people, understanding across the country, and how laws have been implemented on the ground. What we read in the book are this really been that spirit which is implemented in the throughout the country in a different place, in a different culture. So that has really given me a lot of understanding about the justice, which I, when I took up this profession as a justice, fascinated by not knowing much about this subject in substance. But then gradually, with the maturity, with the exploration, the objectivity of the justice have been, it's really I learned from the people as well. Yes, then yeah, yes, Devashish.
All right, ma'am. So you have given a lot of information about you and your young age at Mumbai and your experience with Lalit Chari sir and in a civil law chamber. Now
Yes.
we would like to know, yes, ma'am, in which year you have enrolled in the bar and how was your experience in the initial days at the bar being a first generation lawyer, and what are the challenges that you have faced?
This is very interesting questions with the young people. I would always like to share. I was registered sometime in 1988, I suppose. Yes, yes, 1998, 97 finished. In 97 because we are doing 98. Yes. So then, yeah, as a young person, getting into the profession was very interesting. As I told you, what happened in the initially whichever chamber you join. So then thereafter I took up as a master subject also human rights and criminology. So that combination was very interesting. So because I was doing the criminal practice, and then I thought human rights as well. So I took up a human rights subject in my master. So both I did, and there was a Parsi professor. So again, so a lot of seminars we have attended. So I was again looking things from the human rights perspective as well. So then that way, certain human rights organization I joined, I worked with his issues base also. So as a young person, when I enter, as you want to know the young student, so I enrolled and enter. So any chamber you would go first is they'll ask you to seek an adjournment, seeking an adjournment. And I remember Justice R.M. Lodha was the Chief Justice of India, retired. I was before Justice Lodha, I remember. So in Bombay, it's like the number of causeless is such a huge fat. So there I was, my senior told me that you go and seek an adjournment, and the matter was around 400 or something 50. I was in the serial number. So the client were very smart. They say, madam, this is what my senior had gone to Supreme Court at that point of time. 15 or 16 matter I had to seek an adjournment. So running up and down and all that, it was not so easy, because sometimes the one matter is listed on the ground floor, say courtroom number 440, and one is listed before Chief Justice, that is courtroom number 1. And then you can't wait for a lift, and you have to really manage the day. Even so, initially you to manage the date itself was a big thing. So I was waiting for that, and it was courtroom was so rush, I remember. And then I was waiting for that day, but that whole day is waited, but the matter could not reach. So next day I went, and then I they say, okay, next day also you have to go. That it will follow the next day. So I was under the impression that it was the same number for something 450 or something serial number. But that time what happened? At least 20 200 or so, the matter has already reached, so number has receded. Now number has changed, but I was such a stupid, I did not realize that. So then my number, I heard somewhere my senior's number, but I couldn't believe. So matter was dismissed on default. So then the client came from behind and said, madam, kya hua, case to dismiss ho gaya. So then I said, Are, I didn't know, I was waiting for that. And then Justice R.M. Lodha was supposed to be very strict judge. Everyone was so scared. So what happened? I was scared of my senior. Now matter was dismissed. What do I do? So I said, nothing doing, I'll mention it. Then everybody was pushing me, don't do that, you will get shouting and all that. But as a young people, I would like to share, the judge will, if you're honest with your profession in the beginning, so I think they appreciate. So I said that. So I have just been enrolled yesterday. It was just, it's a 1 or 2 days. I said that I've just registered in 1 or 2 days before. So I do not know how the numbers go. So the number yesterday was this, but today is a change. I did not know, but now the matter is dismissed for default. My senior will now, I will be in a difficulty. So my lord may kindly restore the matter. So everyone was saying, Are, this is not the way to do it. But sometimes you have to have a guts. So you have to do what your guts feeling says. So I said, nothing to it. Let me, if I get a shouting, I'll let it be. I'll make it a point to say. So everyone was aghast. The hall was pit of silence, and I was looking slightly different. So everyone was looking at me, and the judge saw me. I was so innocently whole day sitting in the courtroom. So he said, don't sleep. Now we'll restore the matter. So initial phase. So you will learn from the taking of an adjournment. So similarly with the Justice A.P. Shah was there. The judges were very good in Bombay during my time when I practiced as a very young person. So then they used to say that you argue, we will protect you. So what was the matters all about, this and that. So this kind of encouragement, I think the judges, they do when you finish your law, when you enter. But if you show over smartness and all that, I think the judges are also human beings. They may not like that. But you honestly, if you deal with it, I think you, and even by the at that point of the young, as a young person, should not feel bad about it. And nowadays, what I see, the younger generation, okay, taking adjournments not so significant. We must do something great. But I think the legal profession, over to more than 20 years of my practice, what I feel is that I think each day you learn, and even seeking an adjournment, from there you start your journey. Because even your court clerks will teach you a lot. Even teaching your brief, that is also learning. Because why I would say that today, even if nobody is around, because you'll not shy away from doing that work, because you have done it and you know that. And then now you become senior, somebody, young people comes and they try to pull you around, but you know that you have gone through that phase. So you can catch hold of where the young person is trying to make fool of you. So these are all that when you practice as a young person. So I think these are the wonderful journey. The young people as a law student may think there's not much money, so the struggle is so much. But I think that whole beautiful journey is a journey I think you enjoy once you reach certain position. Each and every court clerk will teach you a small thing. They are so smart, they are so experienced. I think that is how you should not feel bad about it. There's not much of payment. Okay, you are doing kind of idiotic adjournment. Sometimes you might get a scolding from judges also. You are doing only adjournment, but that is how you senior assigns. So you have no choice. But then what happened? Even sitting in the court, looking at other people, that seeking adjournment, standing at the court also gives you a confidence how to present yourself. So I think that is how I learned during my period. And I was fortunate, my seniors and all are very good. So they were very good. I think it is wonderful. Of course, uh, it's wonderful in a sense. It takes its own time. So overnight, you can't become an expert. So that is, and then you must learn all the areas, be it criminal, civil, or human rights, because my experience, what it says that as a human rights issues, if you have done about the women, children, disability, environment, women on sexual and reproductive right, this gives you a very holistic view about the subject. Because there are conventional lawyer, that conventional lawyer in a sense, those who practice traditional kind of CPC, the civil suit, then CPC, then and the criminal, only criminal kind of thing. But then when you do a writ petition in a high court, if you have done a human rights issues, you're taken up, you travel across length and breadth of the country. I think the young people, I have a lot of hope in the young people. The young people can come out with very innovative ideas because law should evolve. It should not. Sometimes I get a disappointed for a sense. You're only referring the Supreme Court judgments and this and that. But young people, the reality, the spirit must come. I think the judgment should not be voluminous and all that. Now the young generation can, I think, if you have a concept or hold about the subject, the humanity issues, I think you can assist the court in a wonderful way, and there might be a wonderful judgment might come out. Not that there are young people have done it in the country. So I think the legal profession, it's a wonderful in that sense. Yes, all the young people, when entering into the profession, had to face a little tough times. One should not get disappointed, because many of the people say, what I'm stupid work I'm doing, going to court, seeking adjournment, I'm not learning much, I'm not getting a brief to argue. So, and many people, I've seen many women in particular, and they're leaving their professions because in the initial period there's no earning as such, because you don't get to see the money. There's nothing, you are struggling, you're doing, but nothing comes in your pocket, number one. And number two, you're not really getting a chance to argue before the court as well. But then what happened, 3 minimum year it takes. After 3 minimum year, whatever little small work, even you have done a stitching of your brief, that also gives you, because then what happened, the perfection, how to, I'm very particular nowadays, particular about the stitching your brief. Now it's like putting the proper margin, typing everything should not be here. So if you do it personally, then you get engaged to that, because that is the period you learn to do organize things in a very proper manner. Because once you cross senior to senior, then you don't get time to go through that. So your initial period, you indulge in that, you might find it's a stupid work, but that all will also make you learn how to make your brief perfect, presentable. Because once you file before the court's judges looks at your brief. If you're well typed, well margined, well stitched, so then they get impressed. That's the one. It's like exam. You get a 15 extra marks, grace marks, sort of. So I think that initial period of struggle also will give you a lot of learning. That is what I feel personally. That is how I have learned personally. So especially for people like us coming from a first generation, I'm a first generation lawyer in my family. My father expired when I was very young, so my I couldn't raise my mother. So therefore, legal, because you see in everywhere there's a kind of a nepotism. The family, some fathers are judges or the fathers are very renowned lawyer. Then those kind of a kids, they get into that briefs are ready-made and all that. But you should not, if any person comes from a humble backgrounds, and then like a first family first generation lawyer, should not get a disappointed. I've seen that they do better in a sense, because what happened, so they learn every small thing. And many people who thinks that the ready-made chambers they have, they don't get to learn much also. So I think for small things, I feel it's all our learning. It's a part of a law. It's not only interpreting a great law or jurisprudence, creating a jurisprudence. Initial period of struggle, so all has to go through that. So I think that is also a learning. So one must not get disappointed. 3 years, learn everything, whatever comes to your lap. So then you learn, then how the courts, then how to present yourself, what kind of a language you should use, and then how you should read the mind of the judge. It is all you learn in the initial phase. So then you becomes a master. Then you know, okay, this is what it means. Okay, this is what. So that is how you learn. I think this is a part of the process. So the young people initially may have to struggle, but kindly my request not to get disappointed, so you can excel. And it's a wonderful profession. Even somebody asked me, uh, Miss Bhutia, what do you want to be in the next life? If God asked me and tell me what you want to be in the next life, I would say that I want to become a lawyer. It's a beautiful, because there is no retirement and you can do a lot, and there's no master as such. You're a master of your own. The beauty of the law professions. So I think that's how I love these professions. I think those who are doing a law is a lucky. So initial little bit of struggle here and there, they should not disturb or deter you becoming from a good lawyer. But these are, take it as a part of the process. Yes.
That was an enlightening answer, ma'am, from your side on this particular question. And I am sure that the answer to this question that you have given will inspire countless law students and young legal professionals to not to lose hope in their initial years of practice and to grasp everything that comes their way and learn from those aspects. Now, ma'am, as we know that you have almost spent 2 decades, more than 2 decades in practicing law, we would like to
Yes.
know that are there any cases which you would like to mention on record for our viewers, which will be quite inspiring, and if they go and read the whole judgment or read argument part or anything, any sort of cases that you have handled and argued, if you like to mention.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. There are quite a lot, but then I will mention a few of them. So it is one of the cases, Seema Lepcha case, which I had done in Sikkim High Court with regard to sexual harassment at workplace. So this was when a Sexual Harassment Workplace Act was not even enacted. So it was only Vishaka guideline, you remember. So Vishaka guideline was not implemented anywhere, and this woman who was a widow was in the Pune post. And yes, I had to struggle in her case. One was the person who has abused her was top boss. It's a kind of a very, very senior level officer, and she was the peon. So therefore, the matter went on for 5 years. It was because sexual harassment case, if you take it up, it's a hyper technical, because what has happened is at that point of time, Vishaka guidelines, only people used to say, but there was no mechanism so clearly as laid down today where the act has described. So this is basically a Vishaka guideline. Also, if you looked at, it's a basically a activist motivated kind of a judgments. So therefore, many of the people were not able to understand how to get implemented this guidelines of Vishaka, and then yeah, in the judiciary also was finding difficult, though the Supreme Court is landmark in the country where the I am told that globally people was when the Vishaka case was deciding, it was really uploaded, but then when the guideline it was even today it's very difficult to say that it has really been implemented. So that was the case when I took it up. So people have hardly understood that was taken as an issue. Also sexual harassment itself was not discussed at all, and taking that kind of subject before the court to make understand the court was, it's a Herculean task. So I had to explain everything and all that. So the lady case went on for 5 years or so. The lady was really disappointed. So I want to ensure that these women should not lose faith in the institution, because judiciary institution is ours. It's a bar equally contributed to that. If people loses faith in the institution, tomorrow nobody comes, then we also as a bar member of the bar will not get inspiration, or the institution not get encouraged. That was paramount in my mind, thinking of that lady. So we did this case and went up to, yes, in the High Court. We got a relief, but in a very weird relief. We got the actual relief it is. So it traveled down to the Supreme Court. Today, AI, it's a reported judgment, 𝐶𝐮 𝐓 versus State of Sikkim. So then, yes, then I went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court heard this matter, argued, and the wonderful about this judgment, why I would discuss is that the Vishaka has laid down certain parameter, but this 𝐶𝐮 𝐓 case has all the more, it has laid down the further point. So it has said that how it should be. The important thing about that was who should be in the committee, and then uh, if the guideline was given extraordinary in that case. So I think that women, especially the peon lady, was so happy after 5 years of struggle she could get relief. And more than that, she was respected in her institution, and whenever I meet her she said that today as a peon, as a widow, people look at me with a lot of respect. So I think that is one case I felt very happy about it. And then there was another case of disabled people. Again, similarly, the person with the Disability Act was also hardly been implemented, because even today accessibility of the people with the disabilities, you see, even in technology today we talk about the mm, a virtual court, a virtual hearing, but for virtual impairment peoples, where is a braille practice, where the sign language is, still we are nowhere, right? These are the laws are wonderful, still not implemented. So that is the again area I had worked a lot, and I've been managed to get there is a lot of 2 3 cases I've done, and then lot of people with a disability gotten access to the facilities, like in building, like employment, lot of other schemes. So then another beautiful judgment I would like to say is the Priya Kale in Delhi High Court, which I did for the beggars women, for the beggars, because beggars and lactating mothers, those beggars were in the home, that night shelter home. But night shelter, when I visited, that night shelter home doesn't have a bathing facility for the women. I found the women were bathing with a cloth, and a lot of women were getting raped in the night shelter home because there was no barricade, nothing. Because at night, lot of drunk people used to come and get into the same night shelter home. And that is what one day, if that I remember beautiful about the journey about that case is 26th January, everybody was on holidays, but I really wanted to help these people. They said the Didi, because somebody, the beggar came to me, Didi, I'm hungry, but I can tolerate my hunger. but my child cannot tolerate my hunger. So हम तो गरीब है, बड़े है, भूख मर लेता है, पर बच्चे को भूख they can't control the hunger. So that really moved me a lot. So I moved a PL in Delhi High Court, that Priya Kale, but for asking the food 3 times meal for the beggars in Delhi. So then that it was luckily it went to before the very good judge Justice Sikdar of Delhi High Court. So he said that in a welfare system, nothing doing, they should be provided a meal. So Motia Khan, basically, I was doing a case for a night shelter home which is based in the Motia Khan. So then 3 meals they got: a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner. And they got a hot water facilities in the winter, and they got a fan and some AC, some room and partition for a women. I think that was the January. I thought that I don't remember which year, but I felt that I did my quota for the whole year or whatever I need to do from my profession as for the downtrodden people. So these are the cases, and otherwise conventional law is eviction. So there's a regular kind of case, we keep on doing that. But these are the cases, few cases, which will give you, I think, the satisfaction to the heart. I think money cannot compensate. So the as a young student, I will encourage that. Though the taking up this human rights kind of issue may not give you a bonus, a lot of money, but it gives you a decent kind of a money initial period. You can travel, go to your own villages, take up a issue. Once you complete your law, take up the issues, and it gives you a lot of learning, because learning doesn't mean that you know something. You should not go with that hate. I know the law, I know constitution, I know this is a proceeding law, that is why these are all technical laws. Should not bog down you, and you get so illiterate you will stop learning. I think you learn from people. I have learned a law, real understanding of law, and how to implement the law. I've learned from interacting with the people who are not educated at all, because they will give you such an idea. Sometimes they'll speak such a word, it catches you. The submission you can make in the court, sometimes how you can be different from other lawyer, is the word spoken coming from the illiterate people with lot of their wisdom, has much more impact in a submission when you make than regularly reading or looking at the technical. I think that will give you a lot of holistic understanding about the law. And then as a lawyer, once you take up such issue, you, that's what I was telling, take up all sort of issues. So that will, I think it will enhance your argument argument skill, and you will be different from the regular a conventional lawyer, because conventional lawyer or regular will argue like limited technical, same, they will copy and all that kind of thing. But if you really want to do something, the people who are less privileged or underprivileged, I think they will really help help you to understand law in a proper perspective. So that is how I've learned from myself. So this that is what I can say. Where in Orissa, it's a wonderful place. You go travel a length and breadth. I think there's a lot of new innovative ideas, litigations. You can build a subject yourself. You can be a master's as a young person. You should not get scared of. You take a chance. So initially taking of such an issue will give you a platform, because conventional law rich kind of rich lawyers will not approach you in the beginning, because they'll go to the lawyer who has a big name, mm, all that big name in all designate, so on and so forth. But you want to engage, you want to get learning. So these are the areas in the beginning should take up such issues. You work on such issue, you will get a recognition. They may pay you less, or sometimes they may not pay you, but my experience would say that that will bring you a case also. It will bring the recommend, because your client is your ambassador, no matter comes from a privilege or underprivilege, but they will carry your words. Sir is so good. Sir has done a good. There are certain litigation which I think which gives you a very, very joy or a happiness, which the regular rich client taking up a rich client's brief, getting a lot of money cannot compensate, or there's no match to it. So therefore I think my suggestion to the young student, or the young now going to be a lawyer, take up these issues initially when you don't have a much cases and all that. Do such cases, it will provide you a platform, and you learn from the people as well, and you really understand the law in a real sense. Because law is not a law for me, it's a very simple. Law is very simple. Each and every, as the Denning said, Professor Denning, you all have read, no? Justice should not be done, justice seen to be done. So what is a seen to be done means, even a illiterate going to the court, or any person will feel that something nice has happened, something good has happened. So tomorrow even you become a judge, many young people might become a judge, might become a very good lawyer. So that to keep up the reputation of the institutions and the bar, I think the young people should engross into such cases, build a new precedent. I think uh, that will hold the majesty of the institution and the bar as well. I think, and the young people will really learn a lot taking up such cases also. Then gradually, yes, the ones you have, then you can take all kind of variety of cases. People will approach, once you become a famous, then people will start approaching you, then you'll start getting the money as you bargain or whatever. So it's there. So, but one must learn also. My senior used to pull our leg. A lawyer who knows how to extract a fees from the client. That is the first learning. So, but then I think that's a joke and apart. But I think these are the cases which will really pay you a. It's a really gives you a lot of satisfactions as a professionally also. So that is my journey as a personally. I did a lot of social issues cases besides commercial cases. Yes, besides conventional regular kind of a murder case, any other regular cases. But there are other cases which I have taken a lot of social issues cases, which has given me a lot of satisfaction, which you are saying I can share. There are lots, so I can share. So similarly, sexual and reproductive rights. These are the area where women has a right to say no, and then how many birth child, whether they are getting the facility when they are pregnant, whether they got a facility in the healthcare system. So the young people, as you all are young people, these are the area where there's not much litigation has done. So these are the area you can do innovatively and get to learn, and you might set up your own jurisprudence. So law is ever growing, it's not statist. So the young people will set up. I have a lot of faith in the young people, because the old, we all will think that okay, then there is a limitation comes, satisfaction limit. But the young people with a lot of thinking, innovative ideas, I think law will grow, and then it must grow. So the, but unless you explore to all those areas, so that is what I can say as a practicing lawyer, as an experiencing in all the areas. So that gives you a different experience altogether. So therefore the young lawyer must explore in all field. That will be a wonderful journey. So you have an edge over the others, because I've seen the conventional lawyers sometimes only one who does only criminal sometime. So what happened then, they lack that holistic view. So they have the limitation in the argument. I've seen the limitation. And one who does only civil matters, again, eviction suit, a property suit, property case, a partition suit, and I think then the declaration of title suit, you all must do. I've done all that. But then what happened? Those kind of cases, if you do that also, you get an idea how to make an argument. Your argument will be slightly different than those people who are only exclusively doing on this. So as a young person, when you don't have much cases, so that is how you can explore. But gradually then you know what cases comes and you will have a lesser time and all that. So then you get the expertise on certain areas, right? Then you that lawyers have no choice also. Sometimes what happen, the kind of cases comes to you, you start doing that kind of case only. So then what happened, people become expert in that area. But initially, yeah, as a youth, as a young person, must explore initially in all the areas, join in all chambers, all kind of varieties case. Then you decide, then young people then decide which area you want to practice. So I think this all will make you, I think your submission and all that you can make in a better way. That's what I feel in my own experience. Because when I go and court, when I make submissions, that's why people say I think I can make slightly different than others. So I stands out slightly different than others, because then feeling, the real feeling, it's slightly like you feel for it, because you have experience through the people, and that people gives you a lot of respect. That is another thing, because people will give you a respect. Because end of the day, when we talk about dignity, what is a dignity is all about? The kind of work you do with the credibility, and your credibility has been respected, and people have a lot of respect for you. I think to earn that is, besides money, equally important. That's what I felt in my legal journey. It depends on the individual, but that is how I look my legal journey, my legal professions, in a very holistic view, by taking varieties of case, and that has made me to understand the subject better way also. Yes, Devicious. Anything?
Indeed, ma'am. That was also quite inspiring to know from you regarding the cases that you have dealt for disabled people and poor people and various other similar type of public important cases. So with that, I have completed the set of questions that I had with me, and I would like to call upon Jyoti Prakash Datta to the studio so that he will be asking you a number of questions that he has with him and which are quite relevant
Sure.
for this particular interview. So I would request our viewers to stay tuned with Jyoti Prakash and our honorable guest. This second phase will also be quite interesting to listen, hear, and learn. So thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all my questions. Jyoti Prakash,
It's
over to
always
you.
a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Devasis, for asking so many relevant questions. And thank you, ma'am, for answering all the questions so lucidly and so transparently.
There's some problem with the audio.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for answering all the questions so lucidly and so transparently. Those answers were really inspiring, and we got to learn a lot. So, with your
Yes.
permission, ma'am, I would like to begin the
Yeah,
second
some
phase.
problem with the voice. There's a problem with the voice. I can't hear.
Just a minute, ma'am. I'm just rejoining.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
Voice calling the problem with this.
Ma'am, is it all good now?
Yeah, I think that's a problem with the voice.
Ma'am, am I audible to you? Kindly unmute yourself. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Ma'am, is he audible to you?
Yes, slightly.
Jyoti Prakash?
I have to pull my. There's some problem.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, now am I audible?
I don't know whether with the phone, my phone. Okay.
Ma'am, I think there is an internet connection problem or something like that with your end. I guess that is why his
Maybe that internet
voice transmission.
connections problem issue. I'll just check. I'll
Sure,
just
ma'am.
check
Sure.
with my network. I think so.
I would request all our viewers to bear with us, and ma'am will be joining us soon within couple of seconds. So please stay tuned. This particular interviews session, the second part, will be quite interesting to know.
Yes, can you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible now?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible? Am I audible,
Yes.
ma'am? Is my voice clear, ma'am?
Yes, very, very meekly I can hear you. Very meekly.
Okay. So Devasis, am I audible to
Hello.
you? Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
you are audible to me. Ma'am, can you just put your phone so that it will be quite smooth to hear Jyoti Prakash's voice?
Sorry.
Ma'am, put your phone somewhere. Just don't take it on your hand and just put it somewhere and just try to sit somewhere and I think the internet
I
will
don't
be
know. It
okay.
was. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you, but very, very meekly.
Okay. Devasis, am I audible to you clearly?
Yes.
Yes, yes, you are audible to me, but I think there is some problem with ma'am's connection or something.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you just put an earphone or headphone or something like that? That will make it easier.
Sorry.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
just
can
put.
Santosh, network problem. Santosh. No, no. That's. Oh.
Ma'am, kindly rejoin the
Shall I enter
studio.
again?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Probably that will cure that problem.
So sorry. Huh?
No problem, ma'am. No problem.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Please re-enter. Please re-enter.
I'll
No
enter
problem.
once again.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. I request everyone to stay tuned with us because we will be beginning soon. Ma'am will be joining us soon. Please stay tuned, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Now is it clear?
Yes. I can hear now.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can
Yes, ma'am.
hear you.
Okay, ma'am.
Oh my
Just put
God.
your phone
Yes.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So sorry because of internet.
No issues, ma'am. No issues. That's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Just take your seat, ma'am. Be comfortable, and then
Yeah,
we will
but
start.
yeah. You can start. No problem. Yeah. No problem.
Okay, ma'am. So thank you, Devasis, for asking so many relevant questions, and thank you, ma'am, for answering all the questions so lucidly and transparently. We got to learn a lot.
Yeah.
And after that, ma'am, I have another question. As you have mentioned that you have worked under a very eminent person like Lalit Chari, and you have also mentioned about a courtroom incident where Justice Lodha helped you out. So you have dealt with so many cases with so many legends. So do you remember any such anecdotes, any other anecdotes except the ones that you have already told us? Any other such anecdotes which you find inspiring and which you want us to know?
Like such incident, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
Hello.
Exactly, ma'am.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Like such incidences, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
Hello. Again, there's some problem with the network. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's
Yeah. There are many. There are many like that. Yeah, actually, for the young members of the college student, I don't know how I can help them out. In the court, like there sometimes you do get discouraged as well. Okay, so there are it's after all judiciary. They are also judges are also human beings. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes there are things. Sometimes they may not like the kind of submission. They may not get. Convince. So in such a incident, the young people, the young lawyer now going to be a lawyer, should not get disheartened, because what would happen was the variety kind of personalities are there. Yeah, some will give you a lot of encouragement. Some may not give you a good encouragement at all. Very discouraging also. There are a lot of instances also which we have faced. So I have faced in particular as a women lawyer. So what happened, women making a submission very confidently in a very assertive way are not been liked. So therefore the young women should not get disheartened by that, because they say that women are cantankerous. She's shouting. She is basically very shrill. This kind of words might come in, may not encourage. And even in the bar, the women lawyer who's intelligent and very assertive are not really been encouraged or liked. So, but that doesn't mean that you should wait someone else to pat you. Heart to heart, you know what is good and what is bad, what the best you have given. As a lawyer, what we can do is to do our justice to your cases. What you have taken, that doesn't mean that mislead or give a wrong facts or do something mischievous, but putting forth your case assertively with the sound legal, not whether they accept or not, but you have to do the best. My experience, what it says, that you may lose or you may win. That is not within your hand as a lawyer when you become a lawyer or as a lawyer. But your clients are not foolish. They know what you have done the best. So even you loses the case, that has always been in my uh, life. They said that the madam has given the best. The so and so was not good. Right? The so and so did this. So therefore, you need not have to worry. So it's always to win the case is not possible. Is to give the best with the good research, good homework. You must go to court all the time with the preparations. Even when you are seeking an adjournment, you must read the brief. You must be ready with your brief. The court, the court will see the young face has come to the court, then they'll more curious to pull your leg, and then they will curious or sometimes prejudice. Okay, there's a young person that doesn't know much. With that enthusiasm, they might ask you a lot of questions. But to have a face value is equally important. So therefore, even going for a adjournment or whatever may be, full reading of a brief, making small notes, and you make a submissions. So that will give you a face value. They said this person comes with the preparations, and then sometimes they may not like, sometimes they may use something nasty, but you should not lose your temper. You put forth your point. Then there is always a forum from hierarchy is there, so one can always challenge the order which you think that it is not correct or erroneous, can be always recorrected to the going to the higher level, and that also gives you a learning. So never get a disappointed in one court. You don't get a relief. You go, supposing say JM court, you did not get a good order or something. You go to session court. You argue differently, and you see the different for a revision, for example. Then what is a revision? Then what in a revision? What kind of argument you should make? What is the legal point of that? In revision also, then you go to the further, then to the appeal further, then so all that forums also you get to learn. Number one. Number two, your if you do the best homework, you give the best, you will never be blamed. That is how I have learned in my professions. I was never ever been blamed by my client. So that is one satisfaction I got in my life, because they say that once the madam take up a case, madam will be full prepared and will do justice to the case what she takes up. She gives the best. But losing and winning, that is again different ball game altogether, and that burden shift on the other. If you don't get a good order, they'll say so and so was not good, so therefore we will go for an appeal. So this is doesn't happen. So this therefore giving a only wonderful experience, but there will be a bitter, but that even from a bitter experience you get to learn a lot. Because initially when I started also, a lot of discouragement was there, but that has never demotivated to me. I always felt like a ping pong ball. The more you try to demoralize, I used to get doubly charged. So I used to share with my friends, I'm like a ping pong ball. So if you say something wrong, something that makes me all the more enthusiastic to do more and more research, more and more work, and go with extra energy and not looking at me very disappointed. That has really, you can survive in this professions. So therefore, in all the profession, there are challenges as well. So even in the legal profession, there are challenges you will face, but that challenge is not big at all compared to your spirit. and and the legal profession so wonderful. So you enjoy each and every moment, whatever may be. You must learn to enjoy this profession, and you must do it with the passionately. I think then you don't get a disappointed at all. So that is how I can share with the young people, with our young student also, because that is how it has been my journey. So I have really learned a lot. So there is a lot of suppressions when you make a suppression, or kind of a comments and all that will come. So there, but this should not get disappointed at all. So that is what I can share also with the young people, because young people some get to hear all the so-called personalities and they'll talk goody things and all that. When they get into the profession, I listen to this person, this he has to she or he has to say so many good thing about it. But when I'm into this, I have nothing to face. It's everything is so bitter, everything is so bad. It is not so. but that is one must know how to enjoy about those struggle also, so that you start learning from that as well. So in the courtroom, sometimes you will be dealt with a nasty way, so that, but that should not deter you. So there are, it's not everything. Sometimes you will be, young people will be encouraged and all that. You should not land up in a argumentative, but then you learn from it also. But never ever get disappointed. And for the women lawyer and a young lawyer, I mean the law student, now final year student, and the one who is going to be a future lawyer. So it's a wonderful journey. You must enjoy thoroughly. And then, yeah, there might be a discouragement come in for the women, but you should not get discouraged at all. So I think women or men can excel well. Like, for example, for me, I'm the first additional advocate general for the state of Sikkim. When the offer came, I was in a dilemma whether to accept or not to accept. Then I thought that. Then the second, then many of my friends, I discussed, what do I do now? I've been always fighting for the cause of the peoples. I've never been taking a brief for the states. I've always been taking up a case against the states. And then now what should I do now? Whether I should. But then again, I felt my friends said, no, 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 too much. You should not lose a chance. How many women will get chance? And in the north is very few. Across, even people think that northeast are much more empowered, women are much more given a facility. That's all myth. Women are equally suppressed. So may not be like northern India or central India, like suppression is in a different form, but northeast in a different, may not be visible like in the northern or central, like put it into Parda system or something in the very conservative areas. But then in the northeast also there are suppression. Women are not encouraged. For example, how many senior women are designated as a senior lawyer? I've been put into. I can share with the one incident. I'm aghast by that kind of an interview. So you know that Indra Jaisingh has filed how people, there was a debate in the country. The deserving people are not been given, or the people who have given been so on and so forth and all that. So she struggled in the Supreme Court. Indra Jaisingh, a good friend of. So then at least some guideline has been given, but I experience, though there is a guideline, again to implement how? Who will see where is a monitoring system? And I've been asked that, okay, did you do the motor accident claim case? What do you have to say about the motor accident? And you know, to take up a motor accident claim case, you have to have the nexus with the police and insurance and all that. And every lawyer struggle to get that cases, because it's so difficult, because insurance, you get a money and all that kind of. So the immediately somebody dies, so the person lawyer has to rush to that person's house. So it's not everybody cup of tea. So okay, then doing a women, children, disabled case is not a worthy at all. So this kind of impressions are there. But nevertheless, we never felt discouraged. That is how the people are perceiving things. So if you have not done a motor accident case, you have not done the civil certain, you don't deserve to that. Even Indra Jaisingh, despite of the Indra Jaisingh case, despite there is a guideline, is still things are precarious situation. Is still it is a bad for the women. But having said that, that should not discourage you. But that is not the things, because what happened, that has hardly any significance. The designation of seniority and non-designation also, if there's a barely any significance to it, because I've seen people, they're not supposed to meet directly their client and all that day, but that is not so happening. They have been meeting. So therefore it hardly has any meaning to it. But these are the things, the shades, the gray shades are also there. But the gray shades you learn as you progress to age, as you progress to something. Therefore, I'm saying it is the young people will do a creative work, but these are the minor here and there and all that kind. But the young people should never get discouraged. Overall, the legal journey is wonderful, and you can do a lot for the society. You can do a lot for your the community which you belongs to, the people who are underprivileged, the legal fraternity where the law are misread, where abused, where you can be a person who can guard of. Real lawyer means also ensure that laws are not misused, ensure that you becomes a very good lawyers who will always sees the majesty of the institutions are protected. If the majesty of the institution are protected, the bars are equally protected, the bars will equally get the respect. So therefore, doing legal professions, adopting legal professions as your professions, not only to earn money, but see the profession much beyond that, much beyond that, maintaining the majesty of the institution, maintaining the credibility of the bar, then looking at what you can do for the society at a large by the law, which is so dry. If you look at, there is a, then how can you put a spirit in that law, is reaching to the people, having access to justice for all. It's equally important. So you look the law from that prism. So I think if you start looking at that, then minor hurdle, then this criticism, I think that becomes insignificant. You start enjoying this profession. That is how I thoroughly enjoy this professions. Yes, Jyoti, that is what I can share.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. And after that, ma'am, as we know that you have worked very closely with legends of the northeastern states, you have worked with many legendary
Yes.
advocates and many legendary judges. So, could you please share, ma'am, some of the uh, facets or some of the anecdotes with all these legend advocates and some of the names of all these legend advocates? Because we do not know much about the legends of the northeast, so we are very much interested to know about them.
Okay. In a Northeast per se, because I started by practicing with the so-called mainland India, so-called metro cities from Bombay. So I had an association with my friends who were engaged with the trade unions, movements, and all the so on and so forth. So my experience slightly different. When I came back to Northeast, again the irony is the kind of movements of the movement which you get to see in other part of the country is not much happening in the Northeast. So yes, in Northeast, other AFSPA is one law which has always been talked about, which you know that, right? AFSPA, and then Irum Sharmila, who was protested for hunger fast for many beyond the Gandhi's period. She has, kept her fast and all that. Those are the laws which people have been fighting. Some of my friends, like I can share some of my friends, Bablu and all that, though they don't practice fully in the law, they do take up such cases and all that. So they are there. I don't know much about the Guwahati senior lawyer legendary as such. Yeah, because Guwahati I did not do much, but I traveled to other part of the place, like my own state, and then Tripura and say Naglin, and then Arunachal and all that. So that are upcoming and as such, but I don't see much. I don't know who do I say, because I did not practice under any of the senior I to recollect of. Northeast coming out, Northeast has its own challenges. It has its own challenges. Like for in terms of women issues, also it has its own challenges. So as to in the state of Sikkim. So I do not know. I really don't have much to, but I, of course, I have during my young lawyer tenure, I have met Justice Krishna Iyer. So that was a wonderful experience. We were so humble judge, very simple, very down to earth, which has really moved me a lot. So, if I say so, because I was asking about, there are a lot of local laws we have in our Sikkim, 371F, and lot of protections, local laws in the northeast. So I was talking to Justice Iyer in those, so he has given me a lot of understanding about those, and then Caliphate movements, and then so on and so forth. I think that was very enriching, and I was surprised. Like in the northeast, I don't think so. Any in the northeast, forget about any other at this point of time. He was very simple with a slipper, and I can just budge into the to the his sitting room and sit with him and discuss all that kind of thing. And it's so warm, and he did not have any airs like I'm a judge, I'm intelligent, I'm one of the renowned judge and all that. I happened to be in one of a big seminar. So then I took a there was a break in between. So in a break, I can budge into, I can talk to him. So these are really a good movement. So these days you hardly get to see. But then, of course, now you have a very good Chief Justice. Orissa, I think, Justice, Chief Justice, one was got
Murli,
from,
Murlidhar.
sorry,
Yes,
Murlidhar.
Murlidhar, ma'am.
That's a
Justice
wonderful.
S. Murlidhar.
So
Yes.
Justice, yes. So young people, you should go before him and then file some cases, good cases. Even as a student in a person, you can appear. He's a wonderful. I can share now. I think we get a goosebump the kind of judgment which he passes, and over and above, he's such an humble, very humble. He would not like to address as a my lord, as a great. There are judges who will get very annoyed if you don't address them as a my lord, or then more focus is on that than on the subject. But still, there are the good judges who really moves. So, Madli, you'll have a very good Chief Justice at present. So I think with the young people can learn a lot from him. So that I can share because I've read, there are a number of cases he's deliver, and I'm told he goes abroad also to deliver cases like sexual and reproductive right, and he's an expert on social issues. So, and he deals with differently. That is what you being in Orissa, University of Orissa, must avail the facility so long as there. So like that, yeah, there are judges I can share. In our northeast, we have at present very good Chief Justice also, J.K. Maheshwari, very encouraging to the young, and the lead encourages, very sharp and all that. Yes, but I don't know as in particular with the northeast, I cannot recollect as such, because I've been enlightened a lot from the cities and my association, as you said, that I have never confined within the small community. I've always seen in a larger community, travel large community, and with a diverse community, be it a Madhya Pradesh. I traveled in a Madhya Pradesh, and I went to Jabalpur, I went to Gwalior, I went to Indore. So these were so different from Northeast. So I think these are wonderful experience I have besides the Northeast. So I think it's not only to see from the Northeast perspective, but overall was a very enriching for me. So in particular as a Northeast, I hardly could recollect. Yeah.
Indeed, ma'am. That is very inspiring to know from you. You mentioned about Justice Murlidhar, Justice J.K. Maheshwari. We have heard about him. He is very much inspiring as well. And after that, ma'am, as we
Yes.
know that you have been also a guest lecturer in Sikkim Government Law College and Sikkim University, Central University of Sikkim. So you are also into
Yes.
legal academia. So, ma'am, being a
Yes.
legal academician in the northeastern state of Sikkim, what are the most important challenges that you see in the legal education system? especially in the northeastern states?
Acha, in Northeast state, legal challenges is, I think sometimes the legal professions have not been taken very seriously. I feel the challenges is that because in Northeast, the kind of stark poverty which you see in other part of the country, like for instance, northern like UP, Bihar, and then yeah, Madhya Pradesh, also this. So where I have seen the kind of stark poverty, so fortunately, you don't see that kind of stark poverty in the Northeast. So most of the law professions, those young people who families who have encouraged are comes from a mostly from a good family or so. So there's not much of a challenges about that is the profession they have to make it as a bread and butter last resort kind of thing. So that kind of I think uh, issues is not there. Because of that, the challenges I see also in the northeast is the profession not taken very seriously. Number one, yes, but not all. Yeah, I'm saying yeah. But then in the northeast also you see is that the number of litigations, if you see, is lesser. Barring Guwahati might be having much more because the legal issues, people are not so litigative in Northeast. Like for example, in other place, they're very particular, very conscious about their rights. In Northeast, the people are not litigative because they don't want to go to the litigations and fight for years and years together. So basically, I think that's what I see in my state also. People don't have that kind of a strong energy to go on for a long time. So that is one thing you see. The litigations is not higher than compared to, of course, that population ratio is also not so big like in other parts in the northeast. Like for example, Sikkim, we have a 6-7 lakhs as a local populations. So even if you take it to max 8, so that is one district in other say even UP or Bihar. So that is one thing. Yeah, most of the northeast, that is what I see in the northeast. And then challenges, not having much litigation also, it has its own demerits. What will happen is that people don't get to learn much, and then the challenges will are lesser. The complex of the cases not that complex cases have been fought over. uh, this is what I see in the northeast as a legal. And yes, teaching in the colleges, going to college also, sometimes legal profession is seen as the last resort. हम डॉक्टर नहीं बने, हम इंजीनियर नहीं बने, तो अब बचा क्या है, तो वकील बनेंगे, सो टेकिंग द लॉ प्रोफेशन एज अ लास्ट रिसोर्ट. कुछ काम नहीं मिला, नौकरी नहीं मिला, तो अब वकालती कर लेंगे, you know so I don't know what about the, so that is how the legal profession is seen in the northeast. So nothing, if you don't become, then you becomes a lawyer. So I think that's a very very wrong kind of perception about the legal, because legal profession is, I feel it's the best professions. There's no retirement as such. You can do so much. The society grows. There's a much more dedication. I think I think it helps to improve the society. So therefore, looking at that is how I see. And therefore, women are there. Even Northeast, if you see, the women's are much more. Women's are now coming forward compared to earlier. But again, the numbers are less. You know, so the profession is not seen seriously. Even the law families don't encourage much to take up a law as a subject, or they will prefer to some other subject but not as a law. So then even if they take up a law, when I go to law colleges, yeah, I've been always encouraging and giving our talks and all that. But then what happens at the end of the day, many of the people, the young people, they don't take up a law. Maybe initially they come for some time, for a year or so, and thereafter they drop from the legal professions, and I see them joining the government job. So the biggest hurdle in the Northeast is that I think most of the people, they look for the government job, so the comfort zone, because legal profession has a lot of struggle in the initial period, at least for 3 years without any money, and then sometimes families are also not been very understanding. That is what from the Sikkim I can say, from the Sikkim perspective. Somehow the children have done the law, then they think that also family think that immediately, especially those children who have done the law, those students who have done the law, they get into the practice, then their family tend to think that now they will get a salary, now they'll start earning. So that has put a lot of burden on the young lawyers, not having a lot of means in the beginning, and that is discouraged by the parents themselves also. I see that what kind of a profession you have joined, you hardly earn anything. See your friends is earning so much, yes, so and this young lawyers getting discouraged and started looking for the government job, be it a LDC or whatever may be, law division clerk, at least some monthly salaries coming into the pocket. So because of that, best of the best brain, mind, I would say, society compulsion. But now gradually the legal profession is getting some kind of respect and dignity, and people are seriously taking it up, and they are continuing in the that is what I see in Northeast in the legal profession. Even they go to the law colleges, but then they'll end up in teaching, they'll end up in doing something else rather than so. Whereas you see in Delhi, whereas you see in the big metro cities, they do take it up very seriously. The women have equal participations. Uh, so that is how I see differences in the Northeast. Law has not been is taken seriously because they have not got into the engineering, or they have not got into the medical, and they have not, because their marks is so low that they joined up some professor law colleges, and they do the law and then come out and then look for. So that is how I see it. I think in society still the legal professions, I think the family, they don't choose, they don't, I think, prefer their kids to, I mean, do the lawyering professions, to take up the law as a, to take up the law subject, or to do, to become a lawyers. Very less family, I think, they encourage. That is what I feel from my experience, what I see is because so many students we go and teach, and I see, but then the number of young people coming to court, I see very less. Initial period, I see a lot, but then thereafter, then they tend to, then they tend to drop out. So that is how I see.
I request everyone to stay tuned. Probably we have lost connection with our honorable guest. She will be coming soon.
Yes, they tend to drop out. So that is how I see. I see that challenges.
Indeed, ma'am. There are several challenges and there are several hurdles that are prevailing in the society, not only in the Northeast but also in India. And you have very briefly highlighted all those problems. Probably it will take some years to get result. Until then, we'll definitely try to make it better every day. So, ma'am, as we are running out of
Yes.
time, I have only two questions for you. Last two questions. So, first
Yeah.
question is, ma'am,
Yes.
as we know, indeed, ma'am, as we know that you have been the first additional advocate general for the state of Sikkim, and you are also the first president of Sikkim High Court Bar Association. And you have done so many hats, you have achieved a lot in your life. So, after all, do you have any regret that you couldn't do something that you want to do for sure?
Uh, no, I have no regrets at all. Yeah, Mr. Datta, I have no regrets as such. I think when I look back my journey, I thoroughly enjoy. And I still look forward because as a additional advocate general, also I get to learn a lot how the bureaucracy works. Because as an independent, when you do it for the other petitioner, you don't know this side, the how the government functions, how the government system, and again taking this position also, I very consciously took a decision to accept this post for the simple reason also sometimes all the matter litigating in the court is you may not get a do a justice to the people. Then being in the other side, the government side also, you can advise a good opinion to the government in the for the sake of the people, so that which you don't get a chance being in the petitioner side or other side, not being in the government side. So that is the one privilege how the bureaucracy works, and how you can budge in, and then how can you help the people, or how you can help the system to put in place a better policy for the government. So I think that's a wonderful experience. And yes, it sets also a ball rolling for a lot of young women in the northeast. Okay, she is so like there are people saying that you have to have the political affiliations, you have to have some kind of backing, and then yeah, you have to be very soft and polite and saying yes, so that only you will get that kind of a position. I think that I have broken that myth. So I neither have any like a political affiliation, nor I rushed after this kind of post. It was, I think, the good work. If you do, the good things will fall back in your lap. So that is how it fall back in my lap. And so far as I'm there, I'm continuing to do a good work in the interest of the people. So that is always when we work in the interest of the people, that is definitely going to be in the interest of the government as well. So that is a wonderful, and being a High Court Bar Association first women president, again you see most of the bar association you hardly find a women doing that. Women being the selected elected as a president or all that, because legal professions has been looked upon as a macho. It's a very masculine. For example, men are very good in criminal side. Men do very criminal cases better. So that the wrong myths are there in society. Similarly, the legal professions, men are much more proficient than women. But I think we have broken that ceiling as well. So we've done a good, far best cases as a comparing to my senior male counterpart. I think I've done better than them. If I look at thing is to, then as a president also, if I see for the first time Sikkim High Court Bar Association has organized a symposium on the issue of a LGBTQIA plus. That is a historical in its own way, because in the country no bar association has organized such a symposium on LGBTQIA plus. So this is also tells that being a woman in the head will think much more sincerely on the social issues as well. May not be all, but majority of them. I would not say they all are perfect. I would not say that they all do well. There is exceptions are always there. There might be equally bad the women. There might be equally bad leaderships, and there might be equally corrupt and all that, so on and so forth. But if you look at the number in the larger, in the ratio of profession, they have always been sincere. So that being headed by women, it does benefits our society, I feel. uh, and they are equally efficient, sometimes they are par excellence also, but then society have not recognized that. So for me, in this government which is there in the Sikkim have recognized the women, so I think they have given me a chance, and I took this chance so that I can break this ceiling. At least that in future many more women will come, they'll get a chance, and then women doesn't mean that you don't work, but we can get a chance to prove and do better for the society. So that is what I can say. By these two position doesn't mean to abuse or enjoy or have a name, but what you can do for that. It position comes with lot of responsibility. That responsibility has to be discharged with all due sincerity, with full credibility, and it should benefit the member of the bar, with the law student as such. There has to be a lot of coordination of a bar member with the going to the colleges. I feel give a lot of lectures on the legal professions. I think that would encourage, it will go a long way to get a respect to our professions. And then we might also get the best of the best young mind in the country. I think that's equally very important.
Undoubtedly, ma'am. And you have very rightly said that women are better administrators. They administer everything more vitally and more usefully. And you have been a great inspiration for not only the women of Sikkim, but also for the entire country. You have broken so many glass ceilings. You have broken so many parochial and misogynistic thoughts, and that inspires a lot. And after that, ma'am, I have only last question for you. As we know,
Yes.
we are watched by several uh, legal doyens today, and we are also watched by several women students or female students of law. They look up to you as an inspiration. They look up to you for motivation. So, what would be your advice to them as to how they will be able to sustain their legal practice in this profession? Being, as we know, this profession is a bit misogynistic, and it is tend to prefer men over women. So, how what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, my advice would be they should not get discouraged at, as I've been saying. I think this is a wonderful professions, and there might be a discouragement for women, and sometimes women might be taken as a basically I see, well, sometime in the bar also my experience, women are taken very lightly. Sometimes they're a crack joke about them, and sometimes they say, okay, to have a women around, it's a wonderful. Sometimes I hear saying such thing by the male, this is very very sexist remarks. So I think women have a lot challenges before them. They have to prove that they are equally intelligent. Therefore, they have to be very assertive. If somebody is making a joke, which is it has a sexual in connotations, a very very sexual in remarks, like it's so nice to see our beautiful women around. I think we should say it's not welcome kind of thing, because if we smiles and take it at a lightly, I've seen that women are not taken seriously in the bar. So therefore, to women to survive in the bar, so I think they have to be assertive, do much more homework, and serious about themselves. I think that is how then they will start recognizing it. So there are challenges for a women, because then they may say, "Well, women had to stay in the chamber for the late night, till the late night sometime, because it's not a problem for a male colleague or a young lawyer for a male to stay till the late night in the chamber. That may not encourage the family, but one must convince the family. So this is the legal profession which is very demanding, because this is the professions after 4 only, with the whole day you are in the court, and then when you come back after 4, then only you sit with the seniors or sit with your clients, to take down their instructions, and then you start drafting. So therefore it's a very very occupying professions. So they, so everything comes with the package. So women say, okay, I will have a fun, and then I will get married as soon as possible, I'll have a child, I'll have practice also. I think that is a bit difficult. So you have to ensure that if you're serious about that, women is in particular serious about this legal profession, so one has to make a calculations, and then serious about the practice. And once you're serious about the practice, you're assertive, I think nothing can stop a woman. That is how I have been. I've traveled single-handedly all the way from northeast place like central India. I said that I never used to find any women traveling in the middle of the night. I think I traveled by train in the middle of the night to reach to the Gwalior court. Mm, and then 2 o'clock I'm in the stations, and then by 5 and the hotel and the read and get ready, and then for argument, and then by 12 in the night again to return back I'm in the railway stations. So I mean, women has to be little tough and prepare for that. When one cannot be comfort zone and somebody bodyguard has to be there, I'm a woman, what do? I don't have anybody to protect me. So with that kind of thinking, if you enter into the profession, it's a difficult. So yes, you have to prove, you know, that you can do, you are equally confident, you can protect yourself. I think that that is how it is important. Psychologically, mentally, one has to be prepared. So one has to be careful equally. Then I think nothing can stop. I think nobody can undermine the women. Of course, there might be they want to push, but then I think if you are determined, nothing can stop. And then women nowadays, now the virtual hearing, everything, now times to come, things are changing. Now in due course of time there might be a regular mode of physical as well as virtual. If it turns to be virtual, even for a lactating mother, it becomes a very very comfortable. Now sit at home and then appear court. But that doesn't mean that because somebody was joking, the you know that busy making a getting into something as not serious into the professions. But one has to be very disciplined as well. I think in coming time for women, much it's going to be much more convenient. What I feel, it's because of the technology. Now see, today we are talking, so delivering a lecture, this was a 10 years down the line, we can't think about it, right? So now women has to be now encouraged all the more. Now life is becoming easier. Now research and everything in your tips of your mobile, in your finger, like you press a mobile, you learn now to research and all are very easy. It's not that till late night you stay, or then you have to reach, you travel long distance. If you have a very good senior understand, you can, I think one can manage. For women in times to come, I think things are going to be easy. Women can make it much more better. I think therefore women should not get discouraged. I think they have to take this profession seriously, and it's a wonderful, I can only say it's a like a, I thoroughly enjoy. So I'm sure that everybody will enjoy. Yeah, once you are passionate about it, you start liking, enjoying, I think nothing can stop. Not just merely you are a woman, I think that doesn't make any difference, or that should not be a bar.
Indeed, ma'am.
That is what
Absolutely.
I can say. Yeah.
Absolutely, ma'am. Very inspiring, and all the words spoken by you are very much inspiring and very much true. And women are equally important in this legal profession. And without women, we cannot sustain this profession as well, because women are more responsible and more hardworking, assiduous, and they should remain in this profession for the betterment of this profession, indeed. And ma'am, you will be amazed to know it is a
Yeah. And the end,
coincidence. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please, please, ma'am.
Yeah, at the end, I would like to say also feminism, it doesn't mean that women rights doesn't mean that we don't respect our counterpart, our male colleague. We have equal, have a respect. There are good males who are very supportive, who are very respectful towards the women. And because of such colleague, such a male counterparts, we have always been helped by them. So therefore, it has to understood men and women giving our equal fair share and equal right. That is how the feminism is all about. That is how it doesn't mean that only women are much more sincere. There are equally lazy, there are equally smart also. But yes, given a situation as of today's, we do not know future that they will get much more chance at par compared to the olden days. But then yes, hand to hand, I think they are equally competent, and I think both can, male and female, both can give a lot to the institutions, to the institution of a legal institution. I would say that. So I don't want to be really prejudiced about the male counterpart as well. Also saying that women are much more better manager, but what happened? Women have been taught in the sense. Because how to manage at home and all that, so that is how I think they have been learned. But having said that, some male are equally very competent also, but then only here it's a given equal chance. Look at from the same equality point of view. It's not to look at an inferior one to the other. It's not that women are superior to men or men are superior to women. They are equal at par, and given a chance, given an opportunity, so both will equally makes a difference in the society. But they should be given an equal opportunity. That is what it's important, which is not so sometimes. They are not given. So that is only the hiccups here. Otherwise, I think it's both should be given equal opportunity. One is not inferior to other. That's what I can say. But of course, not giving much priority or slight prejudice to women also, that gives a power to a women to work harder. I think that has worked a positive way. So therefore, in coming future, I think both should be given equal opportunity in all aspect. That is what I feel.
Absolutely, ma'am. Equal opportunities should be granted to men and women, and it is up to them to prove their capabilities and competence. Indeed, ma'am.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
indeed, ma'am. So, ma'am, we have come to the end of this interview. So, but before parting with this interview, so I'll definitely mention a fact that today, this day is celebrated as a festival in Odisha, which is
Okay.
observed for celebrating womanhood. It is a very pleasant coincidence
Oh,
that, indeed,
oh,
ma'am,
that's lovely. Yes.
indeed, ma'am. So it is a
Oh,
very
that's
pleasant
really nice.
coincidence.
That's
Yes, ma'am. So we are very much pleased and we are
okay.
honored to have you on this particular show on this day, which is observed to respect womanhood and to respect feminism. So I would request
Thank you so
Devasis to
much.
come on the screen. Yes, yes, ma'am. I would request Devasis to come on the screen and to give a formal vote of thanks to our honorable guest before parting with this interview. Devasis, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jyoti Prakash. And as you said about the festival that we celebrate here in Orissa, we call it Raja here. So happy Raja, ma'am. And
Oh,
with that, as Jyoti Prakash said, we have come to an end to today's interview session. I, on behalf of Team Lex Cognoscenti and Jyoti Prakash Datta, would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you for joining us today's evening and sparing almost 2 hours from your busy schedule. And you have given a number of pointers, valuable infos. You have given uh, important advices for young law students and in specific to women in this profession. So thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. And we are really privileged, obliged, and honored to have you today's evening. So thank you so much, ma'am.
I'm also highly privileged. Thank you so much for having me in this program. And I look forward in the future, and all my best wishes to all the organizer of this programs and all the of your law student. And thank you so much for giving me such a long time to hear me. Only because of little technical hiccups. Otherwise, everything went on smoothly. Thank you so much. It's always been a pleasure to be with the young people and talk to the young people. Thank you so much. I'm honored. I'm honored much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We
We
wish
wish you good health and
and
prosperity.
prosperity.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Goodbye.